everybody! Welcome back to my channel. Today is an exciting day. Today we plan the 2021 garden and I am so excited. Initially, the plans were to expand the raised bed garden, but with the price of 2x4s, thanks to our good friend Coco Rono, that's not going to happen this year. So I do have to rethink the plan I had in my head. Right now we have 2 raised garden beds. I'll show you right here in case you forgot. The plan initially was to add 2 more raised garden beds kind of on the side. This was actually my initial 2021 garden plan. So the 2 raised beds we have now, and we were going to have 2 other ones on each side. So that would have been a lot of garden space. With that plan in mind, I had planted garlic in basically a quarter of my raised bed garden. So we're gonna have to get a little more creative. So the plan for today is to first figure out where everything is going and then figure out when I need to start my seeds. I have the raised beds to plan and my in-ground garden. And since we aren't expanding the raised beds, we're probably going to expand the in-ground garden a little bit. So let's sketch this out real quick. I'll start with my raised beds. So let me just draw them out real quick. These are definitely not to scale. I don't even know if I'm going to make them even. Okay. So I've got my 2 raised beds and there is a support bar in the middle of the bed. So I did draw that line to make sure that I don't plant anything there. I find it really useful actually to separate the growing zones, let's say. So let's start. So I'm gonna start by adding the 3 little rows of garlic that I had there. And I'll put that in Sharpie because that's not changing. Garlic. I'm also gonna add a little note for where I have my trellis. So I basically just doubled up at the back of the second bed. All right. So let me open my giant bag of seeds. I really want some better seed storage soon, but I don't have enough seeds to justify that yet. Okay. So this was the garlic that I got. It's the Mackenzie Garlic German Red. I just found it at the grocery store in the fall and I went ahead and popped that in my garden beds. Now, the first thing I'm going to plan is the thing I am most excited about. Where are you? I went a little crazy. I already bought all my seeds for next year because I heard through the grapevine that there might be a seed shortage. So I planned ahead. I kind of went a little crazy and I bought all the seeds that I would like to grow. Even though it might not be in the plans this year, I'll still have the seeds for next year. They'll still be good. So let's see here. Where are you, my love? Oh, right here. This is probably the thing I'm most excited to grow. And while I'm at it, all my seeds come from Vessi Seeds. They're a Canadian seed company out of PEI, I believe, which makes me happy. But the first thing I want to plan where they go is my cucamelons. I am so excited. This is what they look like since there's no picture on the package. These are basically tiny, tiny little well, they're Mexican sour gherkins. So they're sour little cucumber. And I'm so excited. So this needs some trellising. So I'm obviously going to plant it at the back of on the trellis on my raised beds. So I think I'm going to dedicate half that trellis to cucamelons. Oh, so excited. I told you I went a little nuts. So on the other half of the trellis, I'll do the same as last year and I'll do my cucumbers. Although, as mentioned in my lessons learned video, I am going to directly sow these cucumbers. So let me write that down. Boom. Okay, and for the rest of that raised bed, I am also going to do the same as last year again and have my Brandywine tomatoes because I loved them. So I had 4 on each side. Okay, so that is the first bed, my beautiful sketch. I will make this prettier, don't worry. Might even do it on the computer, make it all cute. Now, for the second bed, as you saw, a quarter of it is taken up with garlic. And because of what I learned last year with my herbs, I think I'm going to dedicate this entire side to my garlic and herbs. So that's what we'll do. So let's find those. Cilantro. I have more. Hang on. Definitely more. Basil. Not this year. Okay. I was considering popping a Monette pepper. It's a jalapeno pepper in there as well, but I don't think I'll have the room this year. So that'll be 2022 for sure. There's a lot of things that'll be 2022, let me tell you. So as far as herbs, I have my bouquet dill, which let's hope we have better luck this year with my bouquet dill. So we'll have that, my cilantro, and a basil blend from Bessie. I also do want to have little green onions again. Those I just buy from the grocery store because they regrow really quick. So I think I'm going to do 2 tiny little rows. I'll do vertical rows of little green onions. This is what I mean. 2 little vertical rows. I'll probably have like 6 green onions, which are good enough. The dill, I believe, is supposed to grow very tall. So I think I'm going to do, 2 to 3 feet. Ugh. Change of plans. Since the dill's supposed to grow 2 to 3 feet, which, Bridget, you should have read the package last year, I think I'm going to put this in the in-ground garden because that's really tall. So that just leaves, ooh, that means I'll probably have room for a Monette pepper or 2. Yeah, I'm thinking so. Okay, so let's do, yeah, No, that won't work. That won't work. Let's erase that. It is really hard when you're just doodling it to remember the size, the actual size of your garden sometimes, and these peppers won't fit. So next year still. Pop them back there. So let's just do 2 bunches. So I'm going to do 1 big bunch of basil and 1 big bunch of cilantro. If you haven't planted these before, the seeds are really, really tiny. So you kind of just sprinkle them and they grow in little bunches, if that makes any sense. These are actually 2 herbs that I fell in love with last year. A big part of it thanks to HelloFresh that we were using last year. I don't really cook. So they helped me really discover new herbs and spices and how to really season food. And I fell in love with basil and cilantro, especially with garden tomatoes. Oh my gosh, so good. So those are my herbs. So that leaves that half of the garden bed done. And this half here, that half I'm gonna do all beans because I've got 2 different kinds this year. So last year I had my Royal Burgundy bush beans, which I can show you right here. They're cool, they're purple, and they turn green when they're cooked. Amazing. And this year I bought some flambeau French beans, and even the beans themselves are, like, the seeds themselves are really cool looking. Look at that. And these are what they look like when they're the beans. They look so cool. I couldn't resist. So I'm going to do a quarter of the bed, the burgundy bush, and the other quarter, the flambeau. So I'll probably do, that's going to be a lot of beans. So that bed is actually easy peasy because everything is directly sown. So there won't be any work to do in the lower raised bed. So that is what I have for the lower raised bed, and the upper raised bed. I think this is a pretty good plan for the raised beds for 2021. It's gonna be lots of good food. Also, I need to mention my amazing shirt from Roots and Refuge Farm, Real Food Comes Dirty. I thought it was appropriate for today. On to the in-ground bed. I have a fresh piece of paper here. I think I'm just gonna make a few rows, and then I can see what I can fit on there, because the area is however big I want it to be, however big we till it this year. So, okay. So I'm gonna start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. They will definitely be as long as last year though. So it's gonna be hard to really sketch it out because I didn't really measure anything. There was no precision last year, just kind of sewed all willy-nilly. My favorite part about my in-ground beds were my sunflowers. I loved my sunflowers. They made me so happy. So this year, there's more. This year I have 4 different varieties of sunflowers. The only one that's not from Vesi is the Lemon Queen. They're Mackenzie, which is what I grew last year. So this year we'll have the Lemon Queen, Firecracker, Pro Cut Orange, and Chocolat. I really wanted a wider variety of sunflowers and the coloring and things like that, because I do want to sell sunflowers this year. So if you're local, let me know. Leave a comment or send me a message or something. So 4 different kinds. I'm thinking there'll be 2 rows, and we'll alternate them a little bit. So I think the back row would definitely be Lemon Queen. There'll definitely be Lemon Queen every second sunflower in the back. So I'll put an L. You know what? I think I'm gonna go Pro Cut as well on the back. So I'll put a P. And then in the front, I think I'm gonna go Chocolat and Firecracker, but in the middle, boop, 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 you know? Okay, so that's 2 rows of sunflowers, alternating kinds. I think that'll be beautiful, and it'll make really interesting bouquets to sell, which I'm really excited about. Okay, and for the rest of the bed, guess what, guys? It's not going to be potatoes. I know! I'm actually not going to grow potatoes this year, as much as I'm the potato queen. I love potatoes. I'm the only one that's eating them, and we haven't made a dent in what we grew last year already. And I think I'm just gonna grow different things, have more fun, and we'll see how it goes. If I really miss them this year, then next year there'll definitely be more. Possibly, sure, not this year, possibly, yep, nope, yep, nope. There's a few things here that are gonna be a risk, because my in-ground bed, there's no fencing, there's no no animal protection in it whatsoever. So some of these, it's gonna be risky, but I'm trying new things here. There's actually quite a bit that I want to try, but let's see. The first must-have is definitely my Napoli carrots. I grew these last year and they were excellent. Excuse me. They were excellent. So I definitely need to plant some more. I'm thinking an entire double row. Does that make sense? I think I'm going to plant those in the front as well because they're not very tall. Okay. Add this to my pile of M planting. So you see here how there's going to be a ton. Just a ton of carrots. I'm going to have to make sure it's really well tilled this year because they do need loose soil to grow. Now the rest of the seeds that I have here, oh, I can't forget the dill. So are my dill. I also have some onions, some North Star onions. I want to try to grow some cabbages, because even though my husband can't eat them right now, he loves sauerkraut. And I want to try to ferment. So cabbages and Aunt Molly's ground cherries. I've been so excited to try ground cherries. Now, I know it's a big risk in the in-ground garden because I'm pretty sure that all the squirrels are going to get my ground cherries. I'll probably have a better chance in the raised bed, but I still want to try them this year. So let's see where I can plant these. Okay, I think we have it. So, like I said before, the 2 top rows are all sunflowers. Second row, we have dill up until about a third of the way, and then all ground cherries. We have, what do I have here? Onions about 2/3 of the way, and then 2 cabbages, and a bunch of carrots on the bottom. I think we have it. Okay, now I just have to figure out when to start these guys. So these are all my 2021 seeds. I think now I'm gonna sort directly sown and start indoors. Alrighty, so beans directly sown, directly sown, started, directly sown, directly sown, directly sown, direct. Cucamelons, they're saying you can start indoors, but they said the same thing for my cucumbers, and they should be directly sown. So I think I'm gonna try to directly sow these cucamelons. Yeah. For sure directly sown. And then my tomatoes definitely start indoors. Okay, so I only have 3 different types of seeds to start indoors, so that's good. Please hold while I stoke the fire. So everything that's directly sown, I'm just gonna put to the side here because that is easy peasy. Though it's gonna be a long day when we start the garden. So we've got my tomatoes, onions, cabbage, and my ground cherries that should be started indoors. I have my 2021 planner here. Look how cute, it's got little bees on it. And I already figured out my last frost date, which is May 22nd for here in zone 4B. So let's start with the tomatoes. So the tomatoes, you need to start 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date. But I'm gonna do even a little more because last year my seedlings were they were a little small still. So I'm gonna start maybe 9 weeks. Let's count back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that brings me to March 20th. So I'm gonna write that, start tomatoes. Perfect. It's really easy to figure out your last frost date. You can basically just Google it, last frost date and the nearest city, and it'll show you right there. Super easy. Then you just count back. So onions, same thing, 6 to 8 weeks. So I'll just add it to the same. I did 9 weeks, but it'll be fine. The cabbages says in April, specifies in April. How do you know when my frost date is? Can be started in April and transplanted 4 to 6 weeks later, or direct seeded in late spring. I don't know what to do. I think because we have such a short growing season here, I will start them in April. 4 to 6 weeks later. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do mid-April. So April 17th, I'll be starting my cabbages. So what I'm doing is I'm just basically looking in the monthly view and I'm counting back the weeks and adding my start dates. Super easy. It's gardening. It's not rocket science. And lastly, My ground cherries should be 8 weeks prior, so I'll go back to March. And I might as well start them the same time as everything. So, and tomatoes, onions, and ground cherries. Perfect. There we have it. I'll be counting down the days from now, which is January 2nd, until March 20th, when I get to start my seeds again. It's such a tease. As gardeners, we're teased literally from December for next year's garden. I received all of these seed catalogs, and you're just yearning to get back in the garden, to put your hands in some dirt. Let me tell you, next year's garden is gonna be bonkers, because not only do I have all those other seeds that I wanted to plant this year, next year for sure we're expanding the garden come hell or high water. So there's gonna be lots more room, and I think I'm gonna get a little more crazy, because the Baker Creek catalog made me drool over the different varieties of things. But I think we have a pretty good plan. Let's see. So to recap, we've got cucamelons, cucumbers, and tomatoes, garlic, green onions, cilantro, basil, and a bunch of beans, 2 different varieties. And alternating sunflowers for 2 rows, some dill, ground cherries, onions, cabbages, and a bunch of carrots. I'm excited! It's always really important to sit down and plan your garden so you're not just overwhelmed come March or spring. I hope this video wasn't too long for you guys. I hope there's some fellow gardeners out there that feel my pain of having to sit through winter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I will be uploading more and more gardening content as the spring approaches, as well as weekend vlogs once in a while. Your support is very much appreciated. I will see you guys next time. Bye now.